The rain hammered against the diner windows like bullets, each drop a reminder that Chicago winters showed no mercy to anyone, especially not to those already drowning. Emma Rodriguez wiped down the same table for the third time, her hands shaking not from cold but from exhaustion that lived in her bones. 28 years old, and she felt ancient. Like every bad decision and cruel twist of fate had carved years into her face that the mirror refused to lie about anymore. Her phone buzzed in her apron pocket. Another text from the school. Lily had a fever again. Third time this month. Emma closed her eyes and counted to 10, a trick her therapist suggested back when she could afford therapy. Back before Jake left and took every cent of their savings to start a new life in California with a woman who probably never had to choose between paying the electric bill or buying her daughter antibiotics. Marco, the diner owner, emerged from the kitchen with that look. That disappointed father look that Emma had seen too many times in her own dad's eyes before he died. Heavy eyebrows drawn together, mouth set in a line that meant bad news dressed up as concern. "We need to talk, Emma." She already knew. The words hung in the greasy air between them before he even opened his mouth. Her stomach dropped like an elevator with cut cables. "I know you're going through stuff. I really do. But this is the fourth time you've had to leave early this month. I got customers, I got a business to run. I can't keep doing this." Emma felt her throat tighten. The diner smelled like burnt coffee and broken dreams, and she was just another item on that menu. She thought about Lily's small face, pale and sweaty with fever, waiting at school because mommy had to work. She thought about the eviction notice tucked in her purse, the one that said she had 14 days to come up with $2,000 or they would be on the street. She thought about how she had skipped breakfast and lunch today so Lily could have dinner. "I understand," she whispered, because what else could she say? That life was unfair? That being a single mother felt like running a marathon with broken legs while everyone else got to take cars? That she was so tired of being punished for circumstances she didn't create? Marco slid an envelope across the counter. 2 weeks severance. "That's more than I have to give you. But you're a good person, Emma. You deserve better than this." Better. The word tasted like ashes. What did better even look like anymore? She took the envelope, feeling the thin stack of bills inside. Maybe $400. Maybe enough to keep the lights on for another month if she didn't eat. Maybe enough for nothing at all. The diner door chimed as she pushed through it into the rain. November in Chicago felt personal, like the weather had specifically chosen her to punish. She didn't have an umbrella. Of course she didn't. Umbrellas were for people who had the luxury of planning ahead, of thinking beyond the next hour. Her car was 3 blocks away in the only spot where parking was free. A 2004 Honda Civic with a cracked windshield and a passenger door that didn't open from the outside. She named it Hope back when she still believed in irony. Now it was just another thing barely holding together, just like her. As Emma hurried down the sidewalk, heels clicking against wet concrete, she didn't notice the black Mercedes that rolled to a stop beside her. Didn't notice until a voice cut through the rain, smooth as expensive whiskey. "You're getting soaked out here." She turned. The car window was down just enough to reveal a face that didn't belong in this neighborhood. Sharp jawline, dark eyes that had seen things, probably done things. A suit that cost more than her rent. He looked like money and danger had a baby, and that baby grew up to break hearts and probably kneecaps. "I'm fine," Emma said automatically, because accepting help from strange men in expensive cars was how women ended up on true crime podcasts. "You don't look fine. You look like the world just kicked you while you were down." Something about his directness made her stop. Most people pretended not to see struggle. This man seemed to collect observations like other people collected stamps. "Just lost my job," she said, surprising herself with the honesty. "But I'll figure it out. I always do." The man studied her for a long moment, rain now speckling his suit jacket through the open window. Then he smiled, but it wasn't the kind of smile that reached eyes. It was the kind that made calculations. "Get in the car," he said. Not a request, not quite a command. Something in between that made Emma's survival instinct scream and her desperation whisper maybe. "I don't even know you." Vincent Marchetti. "And you're Emma Rodriguez?" 28. Single mother to Lily, who's 7 years old and currently running a fever at Greenberg Elementary. You're 2 months behind on rent, your ex-husband is a deadbeat in San Diego, and you just got fired for being unreliable. Emma's blood turned to ice water. How do you know all that? I make it my business to know things. Now get in before you catch pneumonia and leave your daughter without a mother. Emma stood frozen on that rain-soaked sidewalk, every maternal instinct screaming danger, while her empty bank account whispered opportunity. The rational part of her brain, the part that read bedtime stories and packed school lunches, said run. But the desperate part, the part that had been drowning for months, said what do you have to lose that hasn't already been taken? She got in the car. The interior smelled like leather and cedar, warmth blasting from vents that actually worked. Vincent Marchetti drove with one hand on the wheel, relaxed like a man who owned every street he touched. The rain blurred the city lights into watercolor streaks outside her window. Where are we going? Emma asked, hand on the door handle, ready to throw herself out at the next red light if needed. To get your daughter. Then we talk business. Business. The word hung between them like a trap she was walking into with eyes wide open. Emma had heard stories about men like Vincent Marchetti. Everyone in Chicago had. The Marchetti family owned half the city, the half that didn't show up on tax returns or city council meetings. They owned silence and loyalty and the kind of power that made politicians nervous. What kind of business would someone like you have with someone like me? Vincent glanced at her, those dark eyes reading her like a book written in a language only he understood. You worked at Marco's Diner for 3 years. Never stole a cent even when the register was left open. Never complained even when customers treated you like dirt. You raised a kid alone without any help and still showed up every single day until your body couldn't take it anymore. That's not unreliable, Emma. That's the kind of loyalty I can work with. Her chest tightened. When was the last time someone had seen her like that? Not as a burden or a failure, but as someone strong enough to carry impossible weight. They pulled up to Greenberg Elementary just as the nurse was walking Lily out. Her daughter looked so small under the school awning, drowning in a jacket 2 sizes too big because Emma couldn't afford a new one. Lily's face lit up when she saw her mother. Then confusion crossed her features when she noticed the expensive car. Mommy, whose car is this? A friend, Emma said, helping Lily into the back seat, pressing a hand to her forehead. Still burning up. Guilt twisted like a knife between her ribs. Vincent drove them to a CVS, handed Emma a $100 bill like it was nothing. Get whatever she needs. Take your time. 20 minutes later, armed with children's Tylenol, soup, and juice boxes Emma never let herself buy, they sat in Vincent's car outside her apartment building. The place looked even more depressing from inside a Mercedes. Peeling paint, broken security door, trash scattered across the entryway. Here's my offer, Vincent said. I need someone to manage one of my businesses. Legitimate business before you ask. A nightclub in River North. Someone who can handle books, manage staff, keep things running smooth. Someone who understands what it means to work hard because failure isn't an option. The pay is $15,000 a month plus benefits and an apartment in a building I own. Safe neighborhood. Good schools. Emma stared at him like he'd just spoken Mandarin. 15,000? That was more than she made in 6 months at the diner. Emma's hands trembled as she processed the number. $15,000. Every month. The amount felt obscene, impossible, like he was offering her someone else's life by mistake. What's the catch? There's always a catch. Vincent turned in his seat to face her fully, and in the dim light of the car, she saw something unexpected in his expression. Not cruelty or manipulation, but something almost like recognition. Like he was looking at a version of himself from another lifetime. The catch is you work for me. You don't ask questions about things that aren't your business. You manage the club, you keep it clean, you make sure my investment runs smoothly. You're smart enough to know what I am, Emma. I'm not going to insult you by pretending otherwise. But this offer is real, the money is clean, and your daughter gets to grow up somewhere she doesn't have to be afraid. Lily coughed in the back seat, a wet rattling sound that made Emma's heart clench. Her baby girl clutched the CVS bag like it contained treasure, which to them, it did. 7 years old and already understanding that medicine was a luxury, that mommy saying maybe next time meant no. Why me? Emma whispered. You could hire anyone. Someone with experience. Someone without complications. Because people without complications don't understand what's at stake. Vincent's voice dropped lower, something raw bleeding through his controlled exterior. Because I watched my own mother work 3 jobs and still come up short. Because loyalty isn't something you buy, it's something you earn from people who know what it means to survive. The rain had stopped. Somewhere above the clouds, stars existed, even if Emma couldn't see them. I need 24 hours to think about it. Vincent pulled out a business card, wrote something on the back. That's my private number. You've got until tomorrow night. After that, the offer disappears and you're on your own again. Emma took the card, feeling the weight of a decision that could change everything or destroy what little she had left. She helped Lily out of the car, her daughter's small hand hot with fever in hers. As they walked toward their building, Lily looked up with those wide brown eyes that still believed Mommy could fix anything. Is that man going to help us, Mommy? Emma didn't know how to answer. She thought about the eviction notice, about the empty refrigerator, about how Lily deserved birthday parties and field trips and a childhood that didn't taste like poverty. Maybe he is. That night, after giving Lily medicine and tucking her into their shared bed, Emma sat at their tiny kitchen table and stared at Vincent Marchetti's business card. The apartment was quiet except for the distant sound of sirens and her daughter's congested breathing. She thought about all the people who said she was unreliable, who saw a struggling single mother and decided she was the problem, not the system designed to keep people like her drowning. Vincent Marchetti saw something different. He saw someone worth investing in. If you're watching this and rooting for Emma to take the chance she deserves, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Because what happens next changes everything, and you won't want to miss how this story unfolds. Emma picked up her phone and dialed the number. Vincent answered on the first ring like he'd been waiting. His voice came through clear and steady, anchoring her spiraling thoughts. I'm in, Emma said before she could change her mind. Whatever this is, I'm in. Good. Be ready tomorrow at 8 a.m. We start immediately. The next morning arrived too fast and too slow all at once. Emma dressed in the only professional outfit she owned, a black blazer with a small stain on the sleeve she tried to hide with her purse. She dropped Lily at school, watching her daughter walk through those doors with a lightness that hadn't been there yesterday. The medicine worked. Small victories. The club was called Vertigo, nestled in River North between art galleries and restaurants where entrees cost $50. From outside it looked elegant, understated. Inside was a different story. Marble floors, crystal chandeliers, a bar that stretched 30 feet with top-shelf bottles Emma couldn't even pronounce. Vincent was already there, talking to a man built like a refrigerator with a face that suggested he'd seen combat. They both turned when she entered. This is Emma. She runs things now. Vincent's tone left no room for argument. Anything she needs, she gets. Anyone gives her problems, they answer to me. The weeks that followed blurred together in a cascade of learning and transformation. Emma discovered she had a mind for numbers that Marco's greasy diner had never let her use. She reorganized the inventory system, caught discrepancies in the books that saved Vincent thousands, learned the names and stories of every staff member until they stopped seeing her as an outsider and started seeing her as someone who actually cared. The apartment Vincent provided sat on the 14th floor with windows overlooking the city. Lily had her own bedroom, painted pink at Emma's request. There was a dishwasher that worked, heat that never cut out, neighbors who smiled instead of averting their eyes. But the real change happened 3 months in, on a Friday night when the club was packed and a man in an expensive suit got aggressive with one of the waitresses. Emma watched from her office through the security cameras as he grabbed the young woman's wrist, his face red with entitlement and too much scotch. She was downstairs in 30 seconds. The music pounded around them as Emma stepped between the waitress and the drunk businessman. Her voice cut through the noise, sharp and uncompromising. You need to leave. Now. The man laughed, looking her up and down with contempt Emma had seen 1,000 times before. Do you know who I am? I spend more in a month than you make in a year. I know exactly who you are, Emma said, standing taller than her 5'5" frame had any right to. You're someone who thinks money gives you permission to treat people like property. In my club, that gets you a lifetime ban and a conversation with Chicago PD about assault. Your club? The man's laugh turned ugly. Who do you think you are? Vincent materialized from the VIP section, moving through the crowd like a shark through water. He didn't touch the man, didn't raise his voice. He simply stood next to Emma, a silent statement of exactly where his loyalty fell. She told you to leave, Vincent said quietly. I suggest you listen. The businessman's face drained of color when he recognized Vincent Marchetti. Everyone in Chicago knew that face, knew what it meant when Vincent Marchetti personally involved himself in a situation. The man stumbled backward, mumbling apologies that meant nothing, and security escorted him out into the cold November night. Emma's hands were shaking, adrenaline flooding her system. She'd just stood up to someone powerful, someone who could have made her life difficult in a dozen different ways. But she'd done it anyway, because the girl behind her deserved protection more than Emma deserved safety. Vincent touched her elbow gently, guiding her back toward the office. Once inside with the door closed and the music muffled to a distant pulse, he poured 2 glasses of whiskey. You didn't need me down there, he said, handing her a glass. You handled that perfectly. Emma's laugh came out shaky. I thought I was going to throw up. But you didn't. You stood your ground. Vincent raised his glass in a small toast. That's what leadership looks like, Emma. Not the absence of fear, but the decision to act despite it. She sipped the whiskey, feeling it burn warm down her throat. 6 months ago, I was getting fired from a diner. Now I'm banning millionaires from nightclubs. How is this my life? Because you decided it would be. Vincent sat on the edge of the desk, his usual composed exterior softening slightly. I've been doing this a long time. I've seen hundreds of people come through my businesses. Most of them see an opportunity and take just enough to get comfortable. Then they coast. You see opportunity and ask what else needs fixing. That's rare. Over the following months, Emma transformed Vertigo into something beyond Vincent's expectations. She implemented staff training programs, created a safer environment that attracted a better clientele, increased profits by 20% while actually treating employees better. Word spread through Chicago's business community. The nightclub managed by the single mom who took no prisoners became the place everyone wanted to be. But the real transformation happened at home. Lily thrived in her new school, made friends whose parents didn't look at Emma with pity or judgment. She joined the soccer team, took art classes, became a kid who laughed freely instead of carrying worry in her small shoulders. One evening, Vincent came by the apartment unannounced. Emma answered the door in sweatpants. Lily's homework spread across the coffee table, the smell of actual home-cooked dinner in the air. Is everything okay? Emma asked, suddenly worried that the fairy tale was ending. Vincent held out an envelope, thicker than the others. Inside was a contract, partnership papers. Vertigo is as much yours as it is mine now. You've earned this, Emma. Not because I'm feeling generous, but because you built something worth owning. Emma stared at the papers, her name typed next to Vincent's in official legal language. Equal partners. Her throat tightened with emotions she couldn't quite name. Relief, pride, disbelief, gratitude all tangled together. Why are you doing this? Vincent smiled, and this time it reached his eyes. Because someone once told me that the best investment isn't in businesses, it's in people who refuse to quit. You reminded me what that looks like. 3 years later, Emma stood in the conference room of what was now Rodriguez Marchetti Hospitality Group, looking out over the Chicago skyline. The city looked different from the 42nd floor. Cleaner, full of possibility instead of obstacles. They now owned 4 nightclubs, 2 restaurants, and a boutique hotel in the Gold Coast. Emma's business degree, completed online during late nights after Lily went to bed, hung framed in her office next to a photo of her daughter at her 5th grade graduation. Lily was 10 now, confident and bright, with dreams of becoming an architect that Emma would move mountains to make happen. Vincent walked in carrying 2 cups of coffee, a ritual they developed over countless early mornings building their empire. He'd become more than a business partner. He was family in the way that mattered, the kind you chose rather than inherited. The mayor's office called, he said, settling into the chair across from her. They want us to consult on the Southside Revitalization Project. They're specifically asking for you. Emma smiled, remembering the woman who'd gotten fired for being unreliable. That version of herself felt like a ghost from someone else's life. I never thought I'd be in a position where the mayor's office knew my name. You earned every bit of it. Vincent's expression grew serious. I got a call yesterday. Marco's selling the diner. He's retiring, wants to know if we're interested. Emma felt a complicated mix of emotions. That diner represented everything she'd survived, every humiliation and struggle that had forged her into who she became. Are you asking if I want revenge? To buy the place that threw me away? I'm asking what you want to do with it. She thought for a long moment, watching the city wake up below. Turn it into something better. Keep the staff who are still there, pay them properly, give them benefits and respect. Show them what it looks like when someone actually values their work. Vincent nodded slowly. That's why this works. I would have thought about profit margins. You think about people. Lily burst through the office door after school, backpack bouncing, excitement radiating from her like sunshine. Mom, guess what? I got picked for the advanced math program. Emma swept her daughter into a hug, breathing in the scent of her strawberry shampoo and childhood innocence preserved. That's amazing, baby. I'm so proud of you. As Lily chattered about her day, Emma caught Vincent's eye over her daughter's head. He raised his coffee cup in a silent toast, acknowledging the journey they traveled from that rainy November night to this moment of hard-won peace. The city outside continued its endless rhythm, full of people struggling just like Emma once had. Somewhere out there, another single mother was choosing between rent and groceries. Another person was being told they weren't good enough, reliable enough, worthy enough. Emma made a mental note to expand their hiring practices, to look specifically for people everyone else had given up on. Because she remembered what it felt like to drown, and she remembered the hand that pulled her up when she needed it most. Now it was her turn to be that hand for someone else. Thank you so much for watching Emma's incredible journey from rock bottom to the top. If this story touched your heart, please hit that like button and leave a comment telling me what you think. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss these powerful stories of transformation and second chances. What kind of story would you like to see next? Drop your suggestions below. Remember, sometimes the people others call unreliable are just waiting for someone to believe in them. See you in the next one.